Hello, folks. As part of the Ohio State University Cybersecurity Awareness Month, really happy to be with you today. I'm going to talk to you about business email compromise, different types of email fraud that we see in the wild. I'm Dennis Ryan. I'm with a company called Proofpoint, and we focus on email security. So apropos to the discussion we're going to have today. So I'm going to share screen here and walk you through some material that I think you'll find of interest. It's both how you spot bad emails and some things you can do even at home, not just from a quote corporate perspective. So let's get going. We're going to do this crash course in email fraud and make it a little bit of fun. We're going to start off with you identifying what's a good email versus a bad email. So let's see what you and Brutus can come up with here. All right. You get this email from Apple. I personally carry a BlackBerry, so when I get this, I already know that it's wrong. And yes, I did say I have a BlackBerry. I broke into a museum to get that. All right, coming from Apple, it's got their domain up there, doesn't it? It says @apple.com. But as we look at the email, looks a little bit odd in there. The verbiage is a little off. The dollars and 4.99. One other thing that's really helpful is look at that. Hover over that link, that URL. That doesn't seem to go to an Apple site, does it? Vif Air Turkey doesn't seem like an Apple site to me. So we're going to say that's a bad email for those reasons. Another one, looks like you need to transfer some documents on this product called WeTransfer. It'll be deleted by August 5th. Get your files. Got to move now. Everything looks pretty legitimate, but let's take a look at that from address. WeTransfer received at Austin Weedfall. Doesn't seem like that would be the right domain for transferring documents if you're dealing with weed in Austin. We don't know what those UT Longhorns are doing, so we're going to call that one a bad one. All right, let's take another one from WeTransfer. The domain looks right at WeTransfer.com. Sent you some files. You could hover over the links. Seems to be all right. Look down at the bottom. It even has some linkage to the website there. So we're going to say that's a good one. These are just some of the little tactics that you might want to look for and see if it's a legitimate mail. And what you could also see, if you're on your mobile device and you're out and about, not the easiest thing if you can't hover over that link. So keep that in mind. You might want to wait before engaging in an email until you get back to your desk. Let's take a look at this one. We got Christina dropping Lisa a note saying, hey, hope you're well. I'm on my BlackBerry. Great, Christina. Love it. You're on a BlackBerry too. Cannot call right now. Need help understanding the payment details to FOD Construction. They completed phase 2. Let's get them this $84.25 million. Needs to happen fast. Thanks. I have to run dinner with Brutus and more donors. Gosh, there's a lot going on in there. I did some investigation because I created this email, and FOD Construction is there. It's on your website. It's on the Ohio State University website, and you're doing a new arts district. And I saw how much the contract award was. So this took me less than 5 minutes. The one thing that I did that was slightly off, look at Christina Johnson's email. Number one, I don't know your president goes by Chris. I just had some fun with that. And at osu.edu, obviously has the dollar symbol. So these are some of the things you need to look for. Bad actors can do things that make it very credible. They're there to try to trick you. That's the pursuit. So having a little bit of fun here with Dilbert, especially those that are dealing with IT, in the IT world and having to deal with administrators and executives and things like that. So things may look legit. IB banker. I doubt he's your banker. So, all right. So now let's get into business email compromise. We've seen what to look for in an email, had a little fun with that. Now let's get into some of the serious stuff. And business email compromise. This is such a huge deal that FBI tracks this. They've seen over 26 billion in losses. It's the number one attack vector is malicious email because a bad actor is trying to pretend to be you in a business email compromise situation. They're using a number of tactics we'll talk about. And for email account compromise, they actually are used. So they pulled it off. That's their end game. If they can get to that, then they get, you probably heard the term, ransomware. They want to get into your systems, try to infect them in some way at your home, there at the university, figure out a way, how do I crack in? Because if I can get a hold of the system, maybe I can hold that for hostage. So how do they try to crack through? They use a variety of tactics. They're doing things like direct domain impersonation. They might do a display name impersonation, maybe lookalike domain. So they've got a variety of different tactics they can use to try to impersonate either your domain or an Ohio State University domain, one of your fellow employees or staff members. Or they may do this within a supply chain. They could be impersonating Staples, sending you a fake invoice, or that construction company that I used in that fake email. So these different tactics are at their disposal, and your IT team is doing a number of things to try to mitigate any one of these three attack vectors. Because if that gets through, when I mention ransomware, that could be the end game that they're looking for. They may be looking to exfiltrate data. So think about this. Ohio State and a number of Big Ten universities have research fellows that they are creating incredibly valuable set of documents. They're getting research grants and they're creating really important material. What if they could, bad actor could get through and get somebody on the staff and the faculty, and grab a hold of one of those documents. So that could be data exfiltration. It could be, just phishing in a way to see that invoice back and forth and who you're dealing with one of your supply chain partners. The point is, if they get through and an account is compromised, they can move lateral in the organization. And that's really what they want to go for, is to try to pull off any number of BEC style attacks. And those could include gift carding. They may be in one of your staff members that says, hey, I want to give out gift cards to these people on the faculty because they're so awesome. Payroll redirect or diversion. We've seen that where somebody fakes, a staff member of a university back into the payroll department and says, hey, I've got a new bank. Please, forward my next paycheck to the new bank routing information. Supplier invoice fraud is the biggest. This is why I used the construction company as the example with your president, because that's the easiest to pull off. Because a lot of times organizations like Ohio State University have put in really good security measures, and it's easier to crack through a smaller entity doing business with the university. So if they can impersonate that entity and crack through, a lot easier for them to pull off. M&A is mergers and acquisition fraud. We see that in the corporate world. And shipment redirect. That's an interesting one in that, they get a hold of vendors that, that's what they're in the business of doing, shipping, I don't know, it could be batteries or toys or something like that. And they try to divert that shipment, and then they can turn around and sell the goods. So let's talk about a few more of these where you actually dig into the email and look for the issues. So Melissa dropping a note to Christina, you got your provost sending a note saying that we need to have some action happen here. We take action quick. This invoice for the school, need to check it. You previously agreed to the amount, but I need to make sure the details are correct. Could you check it? Sorry, at the game and about to join the halftime show at the tuba section. Melissa's got some pull. So this clearly did not come from Melissa. Something's being spoofed there, and you can see it. Obviously, I can hack it at .osu@gmail. Definitely not Melissa's domain that she sends her email from. These are always low volume. So the bad actors are taking the time to do the research on LinkedIn, other searches on your own website, like I did for that construction company, to see who is who within the university, who should be targeting somebody. Could it be coming from an external mail? Even when you get that warning tag, and that's why I left this one on here, even though it was an internal, this would have come in if your team's using these external mail tags because it came from this Gmail address. Look for that, especially if it's supposed to be an internal mail. The second thing is a lot of times the bad actors, they will be watching the email back and forth. Remember when I talked about they could have impersonated a supply chain partner? They'll watch the good email back and forth. Then when it's time for that payment, they'll copy in that entire legitimate string of email and then send you that note that says, hey, real quick, we changed our bank routing information. Please note the difference here. And what they did is they created a lookalike domain. But because you see the string of the legitimate back and forth, you don't notice the nuance up in the from area, like who's this from? Is this really from my supply chain partner? It came from a lookalike domain. So be aware of that, because you are that last line of defense. And this is what you're empowered to do for faculty and staff there at The Ohio State University. Click on report the message on your fish alarm button. Report it as suspicious. This is critical because you may catch a phishing message that went to 20 others in the university, and you're the first to catch it. That helps your IT team stop it and not even allow it to be delivered to the mailboxes of the others. I mentioned Staples before, so think about it. Somebody could be sending you email that draws your attention. Tim, he's a real employee of yours. He's down in, I think it's Peru. I looked him up, thought I'd grab him for giggles. Gets an email from Staples. Well, heck, that even says at staples.com. But when you look into the email, again, the spelling mistakes that are there, you've got, the comma, the dollar signs out of whack. The other is, a lot of times, if you look at a reply to, or you hover over where it would say what appears to be a legitimate address, the reply to is different, like a Gmail address, badguy@gmail.com. That's another way of catching these and just making sure that you're safe. So what are the numbers? Is this really an issue? Should I be concerned? Yeah, you got to be concerned, because we're seeing it at the highest levels in organizations within the enterprise world, like CEOs, presidents of universities, et cetera. We're also seeing over 500,000 of these blocked, of these variants on a monthly basis. And they're looking for all kinds of titles within an organization, within a university. They're going for the provost all the way down to a payroll administrator. So it is a problem that's continuing to grow. A lot of times folks ask, why would I be a target? Like I just talked about, maybe a payroll administrator, some other function that's not at a executive level within the team, not the provost, not a dean, not a president or a director level. Well, it's because if they can get through to you, they can move all over the place. So the way that they view the world these days is through LinkedIn and relationships. The bad actors don't look at the world of firewalls and all the other tech that your IT team is putting out there and trying to find some kind of vulnerability within those. You probably hear about Microsoft doing an update. Maybe you've heard of Patch Tuesday, or when you're at home, you get, hey, you need to do an update on your antivirus or on your Microsoft package, et cetera, because they're fixing these vulnerabilities. Well, the bad actors do exploit some of those. That does happen, but their point of view that they're focused on is the people within an organization, which is why the IT team and our organization, we take a people-centric view of this. We want to understand who's being targeted, how are they being targeted, so that then you're educated and you're aware of what's happening in the environment. So, which is fantastic from a security awareness training that you would go through. If you've got real security awareness training that is linked to the type of attack that's coming at you, credential phishing, things like that, or keystroke logging, your team can teach you based on how you're being targeted. So let's take a look at what an email looks like behind the scenes. I showed you some examples before, especially that Staples one. Remember, I talked about that different reply to. So this is about as technical as we're going to get today. If you've ever wondered, lost a lot of sleep, or you're sitting there at the game, it's halftime, the band just finished, you thought, I wonder what an email header looks like. Got you covered now. So what the email team looks for through automation within your gateway, or that Gmail and Yahoo are looking for, is an email passing specific authentication checks? Is it passing who it says it's really coming from? And you can see here, one of the things that it failed is a relationship between Staples and the person sending the note, the bad guy at hotmail.com. Those don't match, do they? That display name that you see with the Staples and the billings department doesn't match back to the reply to. That's one way of determining the authentication of an email that organizations go through with their gateway or that mailbox providers use. We also see a display name impersonation that goes in there. So this is what it looks like. There's a lot of rich information behind the email that allows organizations to do authentication checks. That's what you need to know. But you are that last line of defense to look for all of these. So you've got to look for all of these different cues in an email. So I talked about the different VEC attack types. One of those was payroll redirect. We see this happen a lot. And you know what? Sometimes the guys actually get on the phone and call up the payroll team, because you may have never met one of the staff members, especially if they're just newly hired or they just joined Ohio State. So they may actually call the main number and say, hey, just joined recently, change the banking information. I'll send you an email to confirm. We've actually seen that happen. So what they're doing is they're trying to get you to make a change, get you to move that around. For those that enjoy French, I just thought I'd have a little bit of fun here and give you something in a foreign language to read. But this is a very real attack type that obviously can be devastating if somebody doesn't get their check. Another one I talked about was the gift carding. See this a lot when administrators are asked by somebody on the staff that's gone out of town or that wants to award people, especially around the holidays. Hey, can you get me some of these iTunes cards? I want to hand these out. Please get these. I'm traveling. You get the idea. I'm working from home today. Can you please get this? They take a flyer on this. And why? Because they've bought up, the bad actors have bought up probably 10 million email addresses, and they're just spraying this out, hoping that they get lucky. And if that falls through, if they get through, then happy days for them. It could be a bunch of $50 gift cards. The executive impersonation, you saw that when we've got, president of the university sending a note to the provost, usually have something in there about an urgency, something, hey, I need you to transfer this information or this money. The money transfer, a lot of times it's clearly between a controller in the organization, somebody on the finance team, and one of your executives. So they use these different themes, vendor theme. There's one that's called a beacon style of just sending out a note to try to engage you. You may see something like that. Hey, are you there? Are you at your desk? And you reply back, yeah, what's going on? Oh, here, I got this question, or can you help me with this? And then all of a sudden, it's kind of this back and forth. You're like, oh, this must be okay. They break the ice, basically. All right, moving on. So again, we started this section with, why would anyone target me? So if you're not the executive and you're thinking, why in the world, especially if I'm maybe just a faculty member or, even students. Well, if they can compromise your account, they move lateral. They get the hook that they need within the organization to go find what's important to them. Their payoff, it could be monetary. Maybe it is ransomware that they're going at, that is the end game for them. Or they just want to extract information from somewhere within the university. Because when the email account compromise hits, then they're able to do so many different things. They can send emails from a legitimate account. They actually just sit there, stalk it. What they do is they'll go into your email client and they will put on a forwarding message or forwarding of all your messages to their server, or they won't have some of the messages that they sent show up in your sent folder, so that if you ever look through there, you go, wait a minute, I didn't ever send that over to Michelle or Tammy or Bob. Why is this in here? So very tricky about this. They know all the settings on Outlook, Gmail. They know what to do to get around some of these. And then what they want to do is they want to try to grab, be it keystroke logging, look at your passwords, see who you're engaging with. So it becomes really lucrative for them. And a lot of times, there may be just this benign attachment that you get. So you get the first email with no malicious attachment or anything. And then, again, coming from a legitimate account, they then send an attachment and say, okay, great. Here's the document I need you to open up and work on or add your information into. And what happens is you open that document, there's something that's called a macro in there. And a lot of times what that will do is then create the downloader onto a machine, and then the game's afoot and you feel really bad about it. All right. So these are the different things that we look for in the messages. And, the other that I always like to say is, were you really meant to get this? Have you really even gotten this or had access to this information that you're being asked for? If the answer is no, then it's probably not from a good place. So protecting yourself and the Ohio State University was trained by Brutus. I need to put the in front of that. Let's start at home. So a couple just pointers for you if you've not looked at this or done any of this. Consider using a password manager. These are interesting. I use one for myself and my family. What you do is you can actually lock in your passwords in there, or what's really cool about them, you can have it auto-generate the password for you. So let's walk through this scenario. You do your banking. Let's say you do your banking at, Bank of America, because they're really big. And in the Bank of America site, when you get one of these password managers, you can actually have the password manager create, your password so that every time you go to your Bank of America site, you put in your username, and then you ask that password manager to deal with it. And it has this massive, long, crazy string that nobody could ever guess. That's a thought. Take a look at them. I put a few on here. Here are 4 different ones that were part of this PC magazine for top password managers. I'm not going to push any one of them. I'll just tell you, take a look. Second one, always do 2-factor authentication. What's 2-factor authentication? Very simple. You probably have to do this for some of your websites, maybe your banking site. If not, ask if you can get 2-factor authentication. That is, you do your normal login, but then you have to add in, send me a confirmation text or email, send me a code in some way. Very important, because again, if somebody's gotten your username and password to get to your desktop there at the house and use your machine in some way, if you've got 2-factor authentication, that's another way of keeping them out. Your home router, did you know 1 in 16 are vulnerable? Change the password that comes with it. Here's what a bad actor can do. They can look at Texas, where I'm from. They can say, hey, let's see, Texas with Verizon, they use this manufacturer, let's just say Linksys. And we know that with Verizon, the Linksys router, they all have the same default password. If you've never changed it, that's a problem. So look at changing your password. And finally, yes, you need antivirus. It's not a waste of money. Go out, pick one of the packages. I put 3 on here. A lot of times new machines come with those, but get antivirus for you, your family, and all of the devices in your house. All right. So let's start to bring this home. Tip number 1, we talked about this early on. Read and think before you engage. Thoroughly read that email. Look for misspellings. Does it seem right? Do I even do anything with DHL? Is this kind of odd here that I would even get a DHL? We only do UPS or FedEx normally, or you don't even receive packages. Like, why would I be getting this at my university address? So don't just react. Just make sure, ask yourself, should I be getting this? Maybe I need to be a little vigilant, do the whole, scan over URLs, things like that. Even the logos will yield that. Second, verify, verify, verify. And I put OneDrive on here for a specific reason. Your IT team told me, use OneDrive. So if you're sharing in these collaboration tools, the reason this is really important, bad actors can get on these types of collaboration tools like OneDrive and in a shared drive in some space and send out emails. And they send as a Microsoft account. Very dangerous. So be confident whoever's sending you that note is who they say they are. They create fake logos to put them on here. Call and verify. That's another thing. You know, folks that are in the finance team are probably directed to always make a call if you're asked to wire transfer money. Just make sure. If you've got a very critical document that you're worried about, could this be going to the wrong place? Am I being asked to upload something that maybe this could get me into trouble? Call and verify. And instead of replying, make sure that you've reached out in a trusting way to that channel, to whoever that may have been that sent that. Especially think about what a lot of us have had to work from home. We're starting to kind of get back into offices and things right now, but when you don't have somebody just around the cube from you or down the hall to go ask them this, can get you into trouble real quick. And if your IT team isn't right there because they have to work from home, for part of the week, reach out to them. They're there to help. And that leads me into this one. So, again, two legitimate folks here at Ohio State. Lisa sending a note over to Gunjan. I looked this one up, and Dr. Agarwal recently got this really cool award, this National Science Foundation grant. Awesome. We're so excited for you in the department. That $390,493 is going to help students tremendously over the next 3 years. Can you forward your research so we can archive it in the OSU files for tax and historical purposes? Looks pretty dang good, but man, oh man, would I trust that? Look at Lisa's domain at osv.edu. Again, these are easy to create. I whipped this thing up in under 5 minutes. My research took less than 5 minutes to go find Dr. Agarwal and all this detail. So you need to make sure, even if it's convincing, do I really want to upload my research information or send it to this person? Why is Lisa asking for this? Report that suspicious behavior. Remember, you have that report a fish button. Use it. Don't abuse it, but use it. Your IT team will appreciate that. So you are that key line of defense. Think before you engage. Triple verify if you're about to upload a sensitive document, transfer a sensitive document, transfer money, do something, maybe even transfer a file that has payroll information, and ask for help, right? I've had this in the footer of this presentation the whole way through. go.osu.edu/CSD. That's your team. Brutus and that team there to help you, your IT team there to help you. So I welcome questions. Have really enjoyed it here today, and look forward to chatting with you in the future. Go Buckeyes.